My girlfriend's gym partner kept texting her at 2 a.m. She swore they were just friends. One night, I saw his car outside her apartment. I left her a note on the windshield. You can keep her. Then I blocked her number and walked away. I don't usually share personal stuff like this, but I've been holding this in for weeks now, and I feel like I'm going to explode. I don't have many people I can talk to about this, and honestly, maybe putting it all out here will help me figure out what the hell even happened to me. Or at least help someone else not feel so alone if they've been through something like this. Anyway, here goes. My name's Jake. I'm 32. I live in Chicago, and I work in software development. I'm not rich, but I do all right. I've got a small place near Lincoln Park. I like my job. I mind my business, and I've always just wanted a peaceful life. About 2 years ago, I met a woman named Sarah at a friend's housewarming party. She was 29 when we met, a personal trainer at a gym not far from where I live. She was funny, confident, had this energy that made people turn their heads when she walked in a room. I was hooked instantly. We started talking, then dating, and eventually she spent most of her nights at my place. We took weekend trips to Milwaukee, cooked together, worked out together. We had that kind of connection that felt real. She'd always talk about how we were meant to find each other. Looking back now, I don't know if she ever meant any of that, but I believed her. I believed every word she said. Things were good for a long time, or at least I thought they were. About 6 months ago, she started training more clients at night. She said she was growing her business and wanted to offer more flexible hours. I was proud of her. I thought she was working hard and chasing her goals. Then I noticed she started getting text messages really late at night, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., sometimes even later. I didn't say anything at first. I trusted her. I really did, but it kept happening. One night, around 2:15 a.m., her phone lit up and I happened to be awake. I looked over and saw a message preview pop up. It was from someone named Mike. I'd never heard her mention a Mike before. The message said something like, "You up?" with a winking face. I just stared at the screen for a few seconds, then looked at her. She was asleep, completely knocked out. I didn't touch her phone or wake her up. I just laid there, staring at the ceiling, feeling something twist in my stomach that I couldn't explain. The next morning, I asked her casually, "Hey, who's Mike?" She paused. I'll never forget how she paused. Like she had to think about the story she was going to tell me. Then she said, "Oh, he's just a guy from the gym. We've been doing workouts together after my evening sessions. He's cool. We just talk about fitness stuff." I nodded slowly. "Why does he text you in the middle of the night?" She laughed. Actually laughed. Like I was overreacting. "He's just weird with his hours. He's single and always up late." "It's nothing, I swear." I wanted to believe her, but it didn't feel like nothing. The more I paid attention, the more I noticed things that didn't make sense. She started hiding her phone. She'd take it to the bathroom, sleep with it under her pillow, turn it face down on the nightstand. She'd disappear for hours and say she was doing cardio with her clients. Our conversations got shorter. She seemed distracted even when she was with me. I started asking myself questions I didn't want to ask. Was she cheating? Was I just being paranoid? I've never been the jealous type, but the signs were all there. I didn't want to confront her without proof, so I kept my mouth shut. I figured if something was going on, I'd eventually find out. That day came sooner than I expected. One Friday night, we made plans to watch a movie and order takeout. Around 6 p.m., she texted me saying she wasn't feeling well and was going to stay in her apartment. I offered to bring her soup or medicine, but she told me not to worry and that she just needed sleep. I waited a few hours. Around 9 p.m., something didn't sit right with me. I decided to drive to her place, just to drop off some soup at her door. I wasn't planning on staying or even going inside. I just wanted to see her, make sure she was okay. I pulled into her apartment complex around 9:45 p.m. Her car was there, but parked next to it was a black Mustang. I recognized it immediately. I'd seen that car before. Once or twice, parked outside the gym when I'd gone to pick her up. I remembered the license plate because it had a custom frame with the Chicago Bears logo on it. I sat there for a minute, my hands gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding. I didn't knock. I didn't call. I just parked a few spaces away and waited. Around 11:30 p.m., the front door of her building opened. Sarah walked out with a tall guy. He was wearing gym clothes and carrying a duffel bag. They were laughing, real close, like they'd done this 100 times. Then he kissed her. Not a quick goodbye. A slow, familiar kiss. She leaned into it. She didn't even look around. She looked comfortable, like she belonged there. I didn't even feel anger right away. I just felt empty, like my stomach had dropped through the floor. I sat there for a few more minutes, watching them say goodbye like they were some couple from a rom-com, then watched him get into the Mustang and drive off. I didn't go up to her door. I didn't confront her. I went home and didn't sleep. The next morning, I wrote a short note on a piece of paper. "You can keep her." Around 10 a.m., I drove back to her building. His car wasn't there, but I waited. A little after noon, the black Mustang pulled up again. I watched him go inside. 10 minutes later, I walked over and slid the note under his windshield wiper. I didn't knock. I didn't try to talk to her. I didn't even care what excuse she'd try to come up with. I just got in my car and drove away. As I sat at a red light, I blocked her number. Blocked her on everything. Deleted every picture, every message. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't leave a voicemail. I just disappeared from her life. That was 3 weeks ago. I haven't heard from her. I assume she knows I found out. Maybe she's glad. Maybe she doesn't care. I don't even know who she really was at this point. All I know is, I gave 2 years of my life to someone who didn't respect me enough to be honest. And all it took was one night and one kiss to destroy everything. I've been spending a lot of time alone since then. I've told a couple of close friends what happened, but mostly I just sit with it. Replay every conversation, every "I love you." Every night, she said she was tired from work when she was probably with him. I keep wondering if I missed something early on. If there were red flags I ignored. If maybe I was too trusting, too blind. I gave her everything I had. I never lied to her. Never cheated. Never even looked at another woman. And she threw it all away for some late-night gym partner who sends winky faces at 2 in the morning. I still don't understand how someone can lie to your face for so long and act like nothing's wrong. I don't get how people sleep at night knowing they're hurting someone who loves them. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Still sorting through the pieces. Still trying to make sense of it. I don't know what comes next. A week after I dropped that note on Mike's car, something strange happened. I was walking out of a 7-Eleven late at night. I just grabbed some snacks and a Gatorade. It was one of those nights where everything feels too quiet, and your thoughts just keep circling the drain. As I was walking back to my car, I noticed someone sitting inside it. For a second, I thought I was seeing things. But no, there she was. Sarah. In my passenger seat, looking straight ahead, like she belonged there. Like everything was normal. I froze. The keys were still in my hand. I just stood there, staring. Finally, she turned to look at me. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying for hours. "Please don't freak out," she said, her voice shaking. I didn't know how else to talk to you. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. She opened the door and stepped out, standing between me and the car. "Please, Jake. I know I screwed up. I know you saw us. But you don't know everything." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I couldn't believe she was really standing here trying to talk. "After everything. There's nothing to talk about," I said. "Yes, there is," she said, stepping closer. "You think I was cheating on you for months. But I wasn't. Not the way you think." I didn't want to hear it. But I also couldn't stop myself from listening. She said Mike was someone she met during training sessions, which I already knew. But she claimed it wasn't physical, not at first. That it started with innocent talks after workouts. That he made her feel seen. Whatever the hell that means. She said I'd become distant, always buried in work, never asking how she felt. She started crying harder. "I never planned to do anything, Jake," she said. "It just happened. That night, we kissed. That was the first time. The only time. I swear." I just stared at her. Her face was familiar, but the person standing in front of me felt like a stranger. "You don't accidentally kiss someone like that," I said. "You don't laugh with someone like that and then lie to my face for weeks." She didn't say anything. "You could have told me you weren't happy," I said. "You could have talked to me." "I was scared," she whispered. "I didn't want to lose you." "But you did," I said. She took another step toward me. I backed away. "I'm not here to win you back," she said quickly. "I just wanted to say sorry. You deserve that." Then she pulled something out of her jacket pocket. A ring box. Not an engagement ring. Not a proposal. It was a key. To her apartment. "I don't know why I'm giving this to you," she said, holding it out. "Maybe just so you know I don't have anything to hide." I didn't take it. She left it on the hood of my car, then walked away. I didn't go after her. I watched her get into an Uber and disappear into the night. I didn't touch that key for 2 days. But the second twist came when I finally did. I drove to her apartment. I wasn't going to talk to her. I just wanted to drop the key off. Maybe throw it into her mailbox and walk away. But when I pulled into the parking lot, Mike's car was already there. My stomach dropped. Again. I parked. Sat there. But something wasn't right. Mike wasn't just parked. He was yelling. Loud. I could hear it from my car. I got out quietly, crept up near the building, and listened. He was in her face, shouting about something. Calling her names. Accusing her of playing games. He kept saying things like, "You said you were done with him, and you think you can just string people along?" I stepped closer, heart racing. Then he pushed her. Just one shove, not hard, but hard enough that she stumbled. I didn't think. I stepped in. "Back the hell off," I said. Mike turned, surprised. His face twisted into something ugly. He looked at me like I just crawled out of the sewer. "Oh, look. It's the ex-boyfriend," he sneered. "What, you stalking her now?" I didn't answer. I just kept my eyes on Sarah. She looked terrified, but she didn't say a word. Mike laughed. "This is who you run to? The guy who left a breakup note on my damn windshield." "I don't want trouble," I said. "Just leave." Mike stepped toward me, chest puffed, trying to intimidate. But I didn't move. I think he saw something in my eyes that made him think twice. He spat on the ground, turned around, and stormed off. Sarah collapsed on the steps and started crying again. Not dramatic sobs. Just quiet, broken sounds. Like she was finally done pretending. I sat beside her. Didn't say anything. I didn't touch her. After a long silence, she whispered, "He wasn't who I thought he was." I didn't answer. Another long pause. Then she said, "I'm not who I thought I was either." We sat there for a while. Not as a couple. Not as exes. Just two people who were both wrecked in different ways. I didn't forgive her. I didn't yell at her either. I just stared straight ahead and wondered how we got here. The thing is, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know if I'm still angry or if I've just stopped caring. I don't know if this is closure or the beginning of another disaster. But one thing I do know, something's not over. Not yet. A few days after the parking lot incident, I thought maybe that was the last time I'd see Sarah. I wanted it to be. I told myself I was done. That what happened between her and Mike wasn't my problem anymore. But my mind wouldn't leave it alone. The way she looked when he pushed her, the fear, the silence. That moment stuck with me like a splinter under the skin. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text. Not from her. From an unknown number. You don't know what you walked into. She's not who you think. I stared at the message for a long time. No name. No follow-up. Just that one sentence. I almost blocked the number right then. But curiosity got the better of me. Who is this? I typed. No response. I waited a full day. Still nothing. So I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I called Sarah. She picked up on the second ring. I didn't say hello. I just asked, is Mike still bothering you? There was silence on the line. Then she said, he's gone. I filed a report. I'm okay. You sure? I asked. Another pause. No, she said. But I'm trying to be. I told her about the text. She went quiet again. Then she said something that caught me off guard. Jake, there's something I didn't tell you. About Mike. About why I couldn't let go. I waited. She took a deep breath. I dated him before I met you. A year before, actually. It was toxic. He was controlling, aggressive. When I left him, he followed me. Showed up to the gym pretending to be a new client. That's how we started talking again. I felt a knot form in my stomach. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I was embarrassed. And because I thought I could manage it. I thought I had control. And you didn't? She laughed bitterly. No, I didn't. Now the story made even less sense than before. She wasn't just cheating. She was caught up in something dangerous. Something she clearly didn't know how to handle. I asked her why she didn't just cut him off. She said, because he said if I told anyone, he'd ruin me. My job. My life. Everything. He knew things. Personal stuff. I never gave him that information, he just found it. That explained the fear. The silence. But it still didn't excuse the lies. I didn't know what to do with all of it. Part of me wanted to help her. The other part didn't trust a word coming out of her mouth. A few days later, I got another text. Same number. Check your email. Sent you something you need to see. I hesitated, but I checked. In my inbox, there was a single message. No subject. No name. Just a Dropbox link. Against my better judgment, I clicked it. There were screenshots. Dozens of them. Texts between Sarah and Mike. Some recent. Some from months ago. Conversations about me. About hiding things. About manipulating situations. But the worst one was from weeks before the parking lot incident. Mike had written, don't worry. Once I get him out of the picture, we can do this for real. And she replied, he's too smart for that. We have to be careful. My stomach turned. This wasn't just cheating. This was a setup. This was coordinated. And maybe the worst part? I still didn't know who sent the screenshots. I called Sarah. Who else knew about you and Mike? I asked. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, just me. And my coworker, Tasha. Did you show her our messages? No. But Mike might have. Why would he send that stuff to someone? I don't know, she whispered. He always said he had insurance. Maybe this is part of it. Insurance? I hung up and sat in silence, just trying to understand what I had just seen. I thought I'd been betrayed by one person. Now it looked like it was two. Or three. Or more. I didn't even know anymore. Later that night, I went back to the Dropbox folder. There was a new file. A voice recording. I clicked play. Mike's voice came through first. You want me to take care of it? Fine. But if it blows up in your face, it's on you. Then Sarah's voice. He's just going to walk away. That's what he does. He doesn't fight. I'll cry, say sorry, and that'll be it. Mike, and the other guy? Sarah, Jake? He'll never know. The audio ended there. I sat back in my chair, stunned. It was never about a mistake. It was a plan. But why? And what exactly were they planning? I didn't know. But now I wasn't just angry. I wanted answers. And this time, I wasn't walking away. I made up my mind the next morning. No more texts. No more questions. No more guessing. I needed to confront her. In person. It wasn't just about the lies anymore. It was about the manipulation, the deception, the recording. The fact that someone, her, Mike, maybe both, thought I was weak enough to just roll over and disappear. That I'd never push back. I called her and told her to meet me at the park near her apartment. A public place. Neutral. No excuses, no distractions. She said she'd be there in 20 minutes. I got there early and waited by the big oak tree near the fountain. My heart was thudding in my chest, but my mind was calm. Steady. Like everything I needed to say was already loaded and ready to fire. She showed up wearing a hoodie and sunglasses like she was trying to hide from the world. She looked tired, worn down, but I didn't feel sorry for her. We stood facing each other for a long time before I said anything. I heard the recording. Her face went blank. You and Mike. Planning to get rid of me. You saying I'd never know. You saying I'd walk away if you cried hard enough. Her mouth opened like she wanted to deny it, but then she stopped. Her hands trembled. I don't know how someone got that, she said quietly. I swear I didn't record it. But you said it. She nodded. Slowly. Yeah, I said it. That was it. The last thread snapped. So what was I? I asked. Some quiet guy you could play? Was the relationship ever real? Yes, she said immediately. Jake, I loved you. I still don't. I snapped. Don't say that word. She looked down at her shoes, her voice cracking. I was scared. Mike, he wasn't just some guy. He used to control everything. He came back into my life when I was vulnerable. When I felt like I was losing you. You weren't losing me, I said. You never even gave me the chance to know you were struggling. I didn't know how, she whispered. Mike made it sound like you'd never understand. Like you'd leave if I told you how messy I was inside. And instead, you chose him. I didn't choose him, she said, louder now. I got pulled into it. Then I didn't know how to get out. A few people nearby had started to notice. A couple walking their dog slowed down. 2 teenagers sitting by the fountain looked up from their phones. I didn't care. Let them listen. Let them hear every broken word. Tell me one thing, I said. Was this all part of the game? The apology. The crying in my car. Giving me that key. Was that all just more theater? She looked up at me, her eyes wet. No, she said. That was real. That was the first time I told the truth in months. I wanted to believe her. But the thing about trust is it doesn't grow back. Then, from across the street, another voice cut through the air. Hey. We both turned. It was Tasha, Sarah's coworker from the gym. She was walking fast, phone in hand, face pale. She marched straight to Sarah. I warned you, she hissed. I told you not to drag Jake into this. What are you talking about? I asked. Tasha turned to me. Mike isn't just some creep. He's been blackmailing her. And me. And 3 other women from the gym. He recorded all of us. Used stuff from our phones. Stalked us. He's done this before. Sarah nodded, tears running now. I wanted to protect you, she said. But I made it worse. I didn't want you to get caught in it. I just stared at them. This had gone way deeper than I ever imagined. I went to the police today, Tasha added. I gave them everything. The recordings. Screenshots. They're going after him. For real this time. Sarah collapsed onto the park bench, burying her face in her hands. I stood there, stunned. I still don't know what to believe, I said. I don't know if you lied to protect me or to protect yourself. I didn't know the difference anymore, Sarah mumbled. That was the moment everything cracked wide open. Not with a scream. Not with a slap. Just a quiet, heavy silence between 2 people who had been torn apart by something bigger than just infidelity. Eventually, Sarah stood up and looked at me. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. But I hope someday you'll know I tried. I didn't respond. I didn't hug her. I didn't curse her out. I just turned and walked away. I heard her start to cry again behind me. I didn't stop. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. I just sat at my kitchen table staring at the key she gave me, still in the box. I tossed it into a drawer and slammed it shut. My phone buzzed once. Tasha. He's in custody. You're safe now. Just wanted you to know. I stared at the message. Safe. But I didn't feel safe. I felt nothing. For days after, people kept calling me. Sarah. Tasha. Even her mom. I didn't answer. One message stood out though. It was from one of the other women Mike had targeted. I know you don't know me, but thank you. Whatever you did helped stop him. I didn't do much. I just stumbled into a mess someone else created. But maybe pulling back that curtain helped more people than I knew. Resolution and reflection. Weeks passed. The weather turned. Fall rolled in. And with it came a strange kind of peace. Not closure, just space to think. I walked the lakefront trail one day and stopped at a bench. Just sat there for a while. I thought about love. About lies. About how people hurt each other even when they don't mean to. I thought about Sarah. I don't hate her. Not anymore. I pity her, maybe. But more than that, I pity the version of me who kept ignoring his gut. Who loved someone so much he silenced his own instincts. I'm not the same guy who left a note on a windshield. I've seen what hiding things does to people. And if I ever love someone again, it's going to be loud. Honest. Raw. Because silence? Silence is what kills everything. I never saw Sarah again after that day in the park. The last message she ever sent said, I hope you find peace. I never meant for you to be collateral. And maybe that's all I ever was to her. But I'm not broken. Just rebuilding. One truth at a time.